Let's help the 49ers stay undefeated. Good morning. I'm Grant Cohn. That's former Raiders offensive coordinator Tom Walsh, and this is the Coordinator's Call Sheet. That's what I'm calling it today. We're going to help the Niners stay undefeated, but before we look ahead, I want to look back. We did this show the last few weeks, and we've really done a great job. As you can see, the Niners are still undefeated. Tom, what did you think of the Niners win against Arizona? It came right down to the wire.
Well, it was painful to watch from my perspective in a lot of regards because I suffered so miserably with the failure of the run game to be able to get anything going and any flow going. And then, and we discussed that earlier, Grant, McCaffrey can't even get back to the line of scrimmage without getting hit. I mean, his contact initiates behind the line of scrimmage, and they go almost 3/4 of the game, and they have not one single run to the offensive left of the 49er formation. And I'm watching this. I'm going, oh my God, there are no runs left, and it sticks out like a sore thumb. I'm going through the first quarter, okay, no run left. Second quarter, no run left. Third quarter, most of the quarter, no runs left, and they finally went a couple runs to the left, and they got called for a holding penalty on one of them. And I'm going like, oh my goodness gracious. Where is the balance? And then I turn around and the other thing, and mentally I'm tracking CMC's touches of the ball, whether it be a receiver or running back. And I'll tell you what, for most of the game, he was pushing 63, 64% of the time where he had the ball handed off to him or he was the target in the passing game. And to be honest, that's too many touches for any one guy on the offense. Basically, it's a Pearsall and a McCaffrey offense. Pearsall deep and McCaffrey on the checkdowns and McCaffrey on the runs. And Kyle, from my perspective, get everybody involved in the game. I mean, look, I got a tight end, throw him a stick route, throw him a wide pressure route, throw him a squat route. Get him involved in the game. Give him a crumb, okay? Give me a break. I've got to establish weapons. You can't be a two-trick pony in this case and think that these guys are going to carry you all the way to the NFC Championship and the playoffs.
When you see a play caller lean on Christian McCaffrey to that extent, I mean, what does it say about the play caller? Kyle isn't stupid, but he does have these tendencies where he doesn't trust a lot of the people that are on the field working. Also, when you see a play caller only call runs to the right, what does that say about his feeling about the blocking on the left side of the line?
Yeah. Oh, the other thing about it is you say that Kyle depends upon a couple guys. Hey, you got all week in practice to cultivate and develop a couple of plays for a couple other guys. You're not out there killing grass, and an iron deer on the lawn if you're not McCaffrey and Pearsall. You got to be thinking, what the heck role do I have in this stinking offense? And where's the we instead of me? And where's the us instead of, one guy or two guys? You can come up with plays to give a ball to a wide receiver or to a tight end to get them in the flow of the game, to make them feel like they're more than just a stock blocker or just an end of the line, blocker blocking a defensive end or whatever. You've got to establish some weapons, and you can control the sticks that way if you want. Have your big plays to other guys, but you've got to be able to matriculate the ball down the field a little bit. And I think Kyle's got to help himself. Up in the press box, I had a sheet for every player besides the call sheet, and I had an inventory of every play which they can be tagged in the game for a play to be directed to them, be it a run, be it a screen, be it a gadget, be a pass, a play action, whatever. So then Mark Ortega would be up in the press box. He says, oh, geez, coach, we need to get the ball to Timmy Brown. He hasn't seen the ball in 5 plays. So I pull out the Timmy Brown sheet, and I had plays listed from 1 to 12, 1 to 15, whatever, as the plays to target him as a receiver or as a running back on a gadget or on a round play or whatever. And so that way you have to have an inventory for each of the players. It's like a Rolodex for each guy of the plays. And as the season goes along, that play sheet grows. As they grow, it grows. And so you can always get them involved, in the game.
I'm looking at the game sheet right here. Sky Moore played 52% of the offensive snaps, 34 snaps. He got 1 target. Jake Tonjes played 69% of the offensive snaps. He got 3 targets. And I think what's interesting is like this is a Kyle thing. He's constantly calling plays with 2 guys in mind, and eventually it seems like it's going to lead to an interception when the defense figures out that they only really have to cover 2 guys. And then with the game on the line, Mac Jones leads this hurry up drive where Kyle Shanahan can't be so controlling. The first pass goes to Pearsall. It's incomplete. Then it's Sky Moore. Then it's Jake Tonjes. It's Kendrick Bourne twice. So I really thought that Mac Jones took it upon himself to spread the ball around, and that was the difference in the game.
Well, the key thing is as much as coaches think that they have the view of the big picture and they've got, the world in the palm of their hand with play selection, you've got to give credit to the quarterbacks. They're out there in the flow of the game. They can see what's going on. They can feel it. They're out there. And it's like, Jim Plunkett and I would have a conversation before some of the games, and he'd say, well, what do you think? I said, hey, Jim, of course, we let him call their plays. I said, just don't call what you don't know. Simple rule. Don't call what you don't know. Don't call a play that appealed to me or Al or Tom Flores or whomever. Call what you know, and then if you need help, we'll give you help. If we have a suggestion, we'll send it in. But have the feel for the game. You're in the rhythm, and they're in the tempo. They got players in the huddle. Art Shell will say, hey, run the ball behind me and uppy. Okay, now, so then what's your best run? Okay, we're going to run 69 boom out of a far formation, a brown right, and then hand the ball off to the fullback. Or we're going to line up and run the weak side lead with Marcus Allen or Bo Jackson, and they run the ball behind those guys. They're calling for the ball. They have a vested interest in the success of the play. Give them the ball.
What did you think of Mac Jones overall in this game? I mean, we saw the first game against the Saints. Now we've seen 2 starts. He's probably going to go back to the bench this week. This was a much better defense he was facing. And I mean, he almost lost. It came right down to the end. What did you think of Mac in start 2?
I had mixed reviews for him. I would have given him kind of like a B- C+ kind of a grade. He did force that ball on the pick. He pumped it right into coverage. It was a loaded look, and he just tried to throw the ball through the, car wash without it getting wet, and it doesn't happen. I'm sorry, not in this league, And so, that was a big bonehead play, and he knew it. There's no way that he did not deny the fact that, hey, I threw it. I owned it, But I tell you what, I think he can win games for the Niners. He can be the quarterback, and as long as they get some of the other players healthy who are on the shelf right now, they've got a chance to play well despite injuries and everything else. If they do things intelligently and do some self-scouting and some self-analysis, and Kyle needs to have somebody sitting there, hey, look, here's what you're doing, here's what you're not doing, and here's what needs to be done to try to give the offense a better, go at it.
What about the run game? I mean, as you pointed out, McCaffrey's getting hit behind the line of scrimmage a lot. Kyle Shanahan's calling runs to the right a lot, which is strange because Trent Williams is on the left. Anything that could be done to fix this? I mean, they're among the worst in the league and running the ball in a lot of different statistics.
Well, the thing is about it, they may have to investigate a couple different type of personnel groupings. If they want to make an emphasis running the ball, they may have to sub in an offensive tackle or another offensive lineman to gain an advantage to run a couple of different plays. They may have to go to instead of playing in 21 personnel or 11 personnel, they may have to go to 22 personnel, to be able to execute. They may have to go to an unbalanced. When is the last time the Niners showed an unbalanced line where they went tackle over or whatever? Never. See?
When Greg Roman was the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, but if you want, look at what the Lions did to the Niners in the playoff game. They were killing them in the first half, running the ball. And all of a sudden, I guess they burned the game plan at halftime. But bottom line is, you've got to do something different. It's like on defense. if four are not getting there, you got to send five. If five are not getting there, you got to send six. If six can't get there, hey, don't schedule them. But the bottom line is you got to be able to make some adjustments, what you're doing offensively and defensively, to be able to compete and to give your guys a chance to win.
Jay Boogie says they're tipping their run plays. Look at the film. Teams know exactly when they're running and are shooting the gaps. Wow. Jay Boogie, let us know what they're doing. I haven't found the tip yet.
Well, I do notice a couple times you'll see a defensive lineman, instead of being in a controlled hat read kind of concept, they will make a swim move and go arm over and penetrate. And so that guy, basically, if I'm on the right side, if I'm a three technique lined up over the right guard, Pooney, knowing that they run to the right for 2.5 quarters of the game, I would turn my three technique loose and say, you go ahead, we'll cover you, but I'm letting him have a free shot to make a play. Instead of a linebacker running through the gap and taking the shot at it, I'd turn loose a three technique and say, hey, go swim it, arm over the top, and let's see you create some havoc in the backfield.
Well, it's interesting. We've been talking about the Niners offense, how to fix that mostly so far in this show. Nick Bosa went down for the season in this game. The defense still gave up, 15 points? The defense is playing really well, but Bosa is a big loss. My question to you is, how big of a loss, and how does this affect their defense and their expectations for the season?
Well, Grant, number one, if I'm the opposing team now, I go into a normal week when Bosa's on the field. I've got to have a protection scheme that not only identifies Bosa, but I've got to have somebody who can chip him, someone who can bang him around a little bit, someone, besides the tackle who can pass set on him initially that takes some sting out of Bosa's rush. Now that he's gone, so I don't have to modify my protection packages and my offensive alignments as much now without Bosa in the game. So therefore, that takes a little bit of the burden off of the opponent's offensive game planning and formation, what they're going to do to be able to control Bosa. But the Niners, Salah's no dummy. Let me tell you, this guy's been around the block a few times. He understands he's going to have success. He's got a multitude of younger players who will be more than excited about stepping up to meet the challenge. This will give them a chance to flourish and to show what they can do. And they can take advantage. And he's creative enough where he can come up with some schemes to be able to compensate and to help with their youth, so that he can simplify some of the things they're doing defensively so they can just play ball rather than having to become more of a thinker in their youth.
Well, Bosa's a really good pass rusher. He's not dropping into coverage. It's not going to affect their coverage. It's not going to affect their run defense that I think they're going to be able to still do what they've been doing against the run without him. The question is pass rush. And like you said, if you can't get there with 4, you bring 5. He's always been very creative, Salah, with his pressure schemes. They're not going to have the best pass rush in the league, but it seems like he should be able to manufacture something if he believes in his cornerback's ability to play man-to-man coverage.
Well, the other thing that's key, Grant, is that Bosa drew a lot of chips and a lot of double teams. So then that freed up other guys to have singles, one-on-ones on pass rush. So now which Niner rusher is now going to become the victim of a double team in pass pro, whereas before he only had a single protector going against him. So that's going to be key. Do we double team and chip Huff? Where does the slide go now as to the next most explosive pass rusher who, as an offensive guy, I've got to negate so we can throw the ball for Trevor Lawrence?
Right. Salah used to like to put Bosa on one side on third down and then 3 guys on the other side. So who's going to be that guy all alone? Is that going to be Huff? Or is that going to be Michael Williams? Or is Salah going to do something totally different?
I think, he had that great package because the other thing too, he ran a lot of pressure packages off of that 1-3 split by the defensive line, where he'd have a twist stun on the right side where they had 3 guys, and he would bring a backer and or a slot corner off the side where Bosa was, because he knew the slide was going to go to the 3-man pressure side, and now all the singles were on the backside. So I would have to put my best pass rusher to the single side against the weakest tackle in pass protection, force the slide the other way, and now see if I can run some pressure package. Also go to the split six look where I walk up two backers in the double A gaps and show pressure and pull out. And then on the other occasion, show that split six look and have the line dictate where they're going to go to block those six guys, and then bring a slot corner. And you can play a fire zone scheme behind it if you don't want to play band free.
Maybe I'm underreacting, but I don't think that the loss of Bosa ends the Niners season. He is a very good pass rusher, but still he hasn't had more than 10 sacks in the last couple of years. He will sometimes overrun the quarterback and give up scramble lanes. And we've seen the Chiefs really run right at him multiple times. So I still think the Niners defense is going to be good. And I still have bigger questions about their offense and their defense. I don't know about you.
Well, there's no question. The run game to me is the biggest question. Of course, that falls back on the offensive line. And the thing about the Bosa that you mentioned earlier is that he may not have had the sacks and he may not have had all of the hits and the pressures, but he drew attention that allowed other players to succeed and perform at a higher level because they were not a magnet for the offense. Now that he's not there, let's see how the other guys fare when they now might become the focal point of a protection package or whatever, because Bosa's not there. So you'll find out the difference for him will be not maybe from the sacks that he doesn't contribute, but what other players will be able to step up without the Bosa presence on the field and have to play against higher odds and a greater protection scheme or whatever.
Yeah, you could call it like gravity. Nick Bosa has gravity. He draws eyes and blockers. It's kind of like how Steph Curry draws multiple defenders. And now that attention is going to go to Bryce Huff or Michael Williams, and there's probably going to be a trickle-down effect. All right, we got a couple questions. We got one question for Tom real quick, and then we're going to go into the Jaguars game. Joseph Ernberg says, Tom's opinion on that 4th and goal CMC pass play that got him lit up. Remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
To the left?
To the left.
Yep.
His angle was a little bit different. The thing about it is you get into the game and you may rehearse it and practice it and walk through it and talk about it, but then you get into the heat of the game, you look at the defense and the angles at which, the defenders are closing, and there's a window into which the ball has to be thrown down in the low red zone that is so small and microscopic. It's like trying to thread a needle, and you don't have a big window. Your precision and the quickness with which plays happen down there in the low red zone especially is a flash. It's in the blink of an eye. As fast as you could snap your fingers, it's open and closed. And that's why the anticipation has got to be there. You cannot wait to see it before you throw it. You've got to throw it in anticipation of what's going to be there, trusting that it will be there.
All right, Max Build Fix has a question about Brock Purdy. We're going to get to that in a minute, but first, I want to talk about the 49ers defense against the Jaguars offense. They got a new offensive coordinator in Liam Cohn. They drafted Travis Hunter. I have no idea what their plan is to use him on offense. They got that Travis Etienne, the running back that they run a lot of their offense through. They got Brian Thomas Jr., who can't catch anything, and Trevor Lawrence, who's the biggest enigma in the NFL. What are the Niners' key? What do you think Robert Saleh is telling his defense about this offense?
You know what the thing about it is for them to be patient. I look at Jacksonville's offense. You mentioned Bryce Thomas Jr. Do you know he has 7 catches for the season on 25 targets? Now think about that. You're looking at a guy catching 28% of the targets. He should be catching the 62% of the targets.
And they keep going to him.
Huh?
They keep going to him.
I know, but the thing about it is I look at Jacksonville and Lawrence is like averaging just a fraction over 6 yards per attempt. When I look at their offense, it's small ball.
Screen.
It's small ball.
Yep.
It's
pass to the running back. Yeah.
It's just, and so I don't want to play man to man because the ball's going to be thrown short, quick, and underneath. I've got to have hats to be able to close. I want hats. I want eyeballs on Trevor Lawrence. So he can run a bit, but he's not a great threat like a Kyler Murray who's going to rip you with the run game. He's not Jalen Hurts with the run game. And he's only completed like 55, 56% of his passes. And then you mentioned Travis Hunter. The kid's got what 10 catches for like 71 yards. One of them's for 21 yards. The other 9 catches are like, you know, 49 yards. The guy's not even averaging 6 yards a reception. God bless America. The ball's got to go down the field a little bit. Where use his speed, where are the deep crossing routes and all the deep opposites and things like that. But you just cannot play like you're playing in your backyard. You spend billions of dollars to build a stadium, and they're throwing passes that they could throw in your backyard in Piedmont. Give me a break. You got to open it up. You got to take some shots. You got to be able, if you want to go down the field deep, okay, give the kid, Trevor Lawrence, some protection. Run a hard fire pass play action. Run the deep flag, the deep opposites, the crossing pass, the deep B7 scheme with a drag coming behind it, and give him a couple shots at big plays, and then let him check down to the back if nothing shows up. But afford him maximum protection to take the deep shot. That way he doesn't have to worry about the hots, the sight adjust, the blitzes and all that, and use a good hard play action. Then now when you want to throw the ball from a drop back in the gun or whatever, then go back to your intermediate and short passing game, but choose when to take your shots and protect the quarterback so he knows he has time and he can feel comfortable to push the ball down the field.
This feels like such a good matchup for the 49ers because where they're vulnerable is teams that can push the ball down the field because they just lost their best pass rusher. Ronaldo Green's kind of struggling at one cornerback spot. Upton Stout's good, but he's a rookie. And the safeties are better at run defense than coverage, clearly. This team doesn't want to get the ball down the field, doesn't try, wants to run the ball and do quick game, screens and slants and swing passes. So really this is playing right into the Niners' hands. It's going to be a game where Fred Warner and D. Winters and Jair Brown and Marquise Siegel can control it around the line of scrimmage, just tackling.
Well, the other key thing I would think when I look at Jacksonville's offense as well, there are times in the ballgame, if I were Salah, I would rush only 3 and drop 8 and play a 5 under 3 deep scheme and rush 3 and say, okay, find a place, make Lawrence have to make a determination of where to go with the ball and force him to make a decision and say, we're going to blanket the coverage. We're going to play 2 deep and 5 under. We're going to smother you. We're going to play 6 under and 2 deep and smother you. And then let's see where you find a completion in that.
That's what teams used to do against Drew Brees. It's like, if you're going to throw the ball in a second and a half, why are we rushing the quarterback? What's the point?
You're not going to get there.
Yeah.
And Trevor's tall enough to where you're not going to have the batted down balls like Drew Brees would get, like Kyler Murray gets. He's 6'4.5", 6'5". He's not going to be shy about finding windows because his height is an advantage for him.
Let me ask you this. Is Trevor Lawrence good?
I did a piece a couple of years ago about him, and I just don't see the fire in him. He's more of a quiet leader, I guess. I don't know. I just don't feel it. When I watch him play, I have a lukewarm, tepid feeling about him.
I don't know if Justin Herbert has a ton of fire. He's kind of a quiet leader too. He just seems way better than Trevor Lawrence.
But he plays with authority. He plays with conviction. He plays with a dynamic posture and demonstrates leadership through the aggressiveness of his actions. And I don't see that from Trevor Lawrence.
All right, well, let's turn it around. The Niners offense against the Jaguars defense. Before we start, Max Build Fix says, do we see Purdy go off after Mac's performance? I guess we're assuming that Purdy's coming back. Let's start there. What do you expect to see from Purdy against this defense?
Let me say this now. There's going to be some rust on Purdy. He's not going to go out there all spit shine and polish and high gloss and all that kind of stuff. He's going to have some rust on him as well. How aggressively has he been able to practice? How much full speed work is he back in the rhythm? So he's not going to light it up like a track meet where he can just go up and down the field like it's going against air. People don't realize how much better that Jacksonville defense is playing Now you got to look at the competition in which they beat Carolina, they beat Houston. They held both of those teams to 10 points. They lost to the Bengals in between, and they gave
But
up
they
like
knocked out
35.
Burrow.
They took out Burrow. But so now there's a question about the quality of the wins that Jacksonville has had. But I tell you what, their defense, uh, I think, is like number 4 in the NFL. They're not playing too shabby. The Niners are ahead of them defensively, but then the Niners offense is like, you know, middle of the pack. So they're not exactly lighting up the scoreboard on offense. So the Niners are not going to be able to say, well, we're going to put up 31 on these guys.
One thing that's interesting about the Niners offense to me right now is that since their running game isn't working, they've had to pass so much, or they chose to pass so much in Mac Jones' 2 starts. He threw 80 passes in his 2 starts, 41 in one, 39 in the other, won both of them, only threw 1 pick. Those aren't the kind of games that Brock Purdy typically wins. They usually throw fewer times with him because he tends to throw more interceptions. I wonder if the game plan will be to pass as much as they've been passing the last couple of weeks, or if it's going to be different with Brock.
Well, the first thing if I'm a defense going against Brock Purdy, I want to be able to make him move. I want to see how well he can move with that hyperextended big toe, that turf toe. I want to make him get off the spot. I want to flush him out of the pocket, make him go to his left, make him go to his right. I want to get him out of his comfort zone and see how mobile he is. And then also my key thing is, how well does he transfer his weight when he makes his throws, so that he throws the ball like he means it, as opposed to trying to guide it and steer it to a receiver because he's afraid to put that foot in the ground and drive into the throw.
You can test him a little bit. That's true. And I don't know if you realize this, but the Jaguars have intercepted 7 passes in the first 3 games. So he's going to have to make really good decisions in this game.
Well, it's going to be important. The key thing for him is to get off to a good start. He's coming off of 2 weeks of being on the bench, and Kyle's going to have to sit there and say, okay, I've got to get him some completions early. I've got to get some gimmies. I've got to be able to have a couple gimmies for him so that we can get the confidence going, get the flow going. I don't want to be in 2nd and 9, 2nd and 10, where 90% of the time in the NFL they run the ball, because they want to get to 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. They don't want to be 3rd and 9 and 3rd and 10. If it's 1st and 10 and I throw an incomplete pass, I don't want to turn around on 2nd and 10 and throw another incomplete. Then I'm looking at 3rd and 10. So they run the ball on 2nd and long to try to get to 2nd and 6, to get to 2nd and 5. And that's the tendency in the NFL. Any long yardage situation, 85% of the time, teams are running the ball because they don't want to get to 3rd and long.
All right, well, let's help Kyle Shanahan brainstorm for this matchup. This is what we call the Playbook Breakdown segment, powered by Pass Reps, where we make you smarter about football every week. You can get pass reps yourself and actually practice calling plays before Sunday for only $1.99 a month. Just go to passreps.com or click the link below. Let me put the link on the screen real quick before we get started. Okay, Tom, let's take a look at the play drawn up, and then we'll watch the players run through it. What is this play, and why do you think it would be effective for the 49ers this weekend?
Okay, this is one of my most favorite. I tell you, this is a Nick Saban killer. They can't teams that play quarters over as a slot receivers, and they play inside, technique on number 2 and outside technique on number 1. I'll take Ricky Pearsall in there. We'll run a little bit of a release that pushes up and out. Let him run to the post and push it up deep. Take your slot receiver, who's really your flanker, cross underneath after the release of Pearsall, bring him back out on a shake route. And now you've got 2 man beaters against quarters, which quarters becomes vertically, it becomes man coverage. So I've got a shot for the touchdown on the post route, and also I've got a shot for the big play on the shake route, coming out at 15, 16 yards or breaking into the corner. And if it's a 3 high, I can just turn that into a 7 stop concept. And then here's the other thing. If I don't have the quarters looking, let's say the middle of the field is closed, basically now when I go back to the strong side, to where I have my protection afforded me, I'm running a flanker drive concept with the McCaffrey or whomever coming in behind me on a cross, So I have a middle of the field concept that I can use to my right, and I have a quarters concept I can use to my left. So now as a quarterback, I just have to make the determination: do I see quarters or do I see middle of the field closed? And then I pick my side off of that. As you look at the, you just hit it there, you pop it, and you got a shot. And if it's a middle of the field closed, as you just saw right there, I come back down and work the drag route and the tight end, and then my second back out is the crosser trailing behind it.
And McCaffrey's wide open.
Yeah, it's wide open.
Okay, so let's go back to the 2D, and now we'll rep it against middle field open. See what that looks like. I like putting McCaffrey in motion and then not necessarily going to him, because he's going to draw so much.
Yeah, let him draw
attention.
The coverage. Let him draw the eyeballs go to McCaffrey. That'll open up someone else. And so I've got my shot. And Pearsall can run, so I don't have to worry about not being able to take the top off of the defense. And the defense will have to be concerned about his ability to go deep.
Yeah, it looks like you could hit him over the top if Brock can transfer his weight and make this throw.
Correct. It'll be the throw. I tell you what, they run that concept against a quarters package. It's got touchdown written all over it. You just got to be able to make the throw, run, and catch.
Yeah, and really that shake route, as you call it, is wide freaking open against this look. I love this play.
It's a great beater because you got the defensive back on the wrong side. He's on the inside, and I'm breaking out to the corner. And then on the post concept, I've got the corner sitting on my outside shoulder, and I'm breaking to the post. So they're both on the wrong shoulder to make the play.
Yeah. And you're really overloading that left side of the zone. And one more thing I like about this setup, the idea, I like you have the guy in a 3-point stance over here, but this is McCaffrey on the right. I like having him split out as a wide receiver. I like motioning him back into the formation. And instead of having Juszczyk on the line of scrimmage and McCaffrey out here, invert that, because that makes McCaffrey more of a threat as a receiver, as he should be.
Yeah. Yeah, you can run it with short motion. You can bring it out of the backfield and shift them up. You can line them up on the wing of the tight end. And see, that wouldn't be a bad place also to use Juszczyk, because they do run some formations where he does play a pseudo off the ball type of tight end position, like you got on the screen right there in your 2D package. So I can interchange the backs, and I can have I can put in rocket personnel and have two halfbacks in the game, and have Robinson be one of them, and then have McCaffrey be the other guy. So either way, it doesn't matter.
You guys have been watching our show for a few weeks. You can tell that Tom adds plays weekly that he thinks would be relevant for the 49ers. And you can say he puts together a fresh game plan every week inside pass reps, updated rosters, new opponents, real plays from the NFL level. Step into the offensive coordinator's role for less than $2 a month. Link is below, or just go to passreps.com. All right, let's do one more play. What do you say? Let's go over to the left.
Hit your left arrow down the bottom. Okay, and now this is the let's say, for example, the hardest thing for the coordinator to be able to call plays in anticipation of what the coverage is and ask the quarterback to make a full field read and determine where to go. So my whole thought years ago was that we're going to call what I call plays which are mixers. Rather than having one pattern that is a full field concept, I'm going to draw a line down the middle of the field, and I'm going to have a concept to the left and a concept to the right. So, for example, on this play that we have here, we're going to run a cover 2 or a halves look beater to the left, and we're going to run a middle of the field close beater to the right. This is a white pressure route. If I had Kittle, I'd be throwing this ball all day to him. Got McCaffrey either on the line running the shoot route and Juszczyk in the backfield, or whatever personnel grouping you want. The thing about it is now, as a quarterback, all I have to know at the snap is the middle of the field open or is the middle of the field closed. If it's middle of the field open, I'm working left. If the middle of the field is closed, be it single high safety man free or 3 deep zone, I don't care, because they both look the same. I'm going to my right side. So now so
we got it open for. Let's start with it open. This look.
Yeah, go with your middle of the field open. You got a cover 2 shell look, and then you're running a high low off of the corner and the deep safety on the left side of the screen. So now if I got a 2 deep, and I can take my wide receiver, bring him down and tighten down and split, I can attack that. If I'm Ricky Pearsall and I narrow my split, that safety or that halves defender's got to be thinking I'm able to go across the formation, across the field deep, as well as to the corner.
I put some even greater conflict. All right, let's look at this against Robber. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're going to go middle of the field closed. So right now, my man beater in that concept, I'm going to read the Y, the tight end receiver, one-on-one. And,
Yeah.
just if I got bump and run, for example, on the outside with that 9 route, I would have an alert for the quarterback based upon the
Sure.
game plan, time and distance, the matchup of personnel. You have a shot as an alert to go for the 9 route for the touchdown for the 6 points. If not, just come down and work your Y in your back. So
Right. You
that way
got
you
use check.
allow
Oh, yeah. McCaffrey right here.
your quarterback to have a better decision-making process where he can determine where he's going to go with the ball without waiting for it all to, you can't salt and pepper that ball and peel and eat it like a banana back there while you're determining where to go with the ball. You got to have a clue. So by having a mixer route, I've made the decision, the reading process much easier for the quarterback.
I like that. All right. Well, you just saw the breakdown. Now go test your own football IQ. Pass reps updates weekly, $199 a month. The link's below. Don't just watch the game. Call it at passreps.com. All right, Tom, it's time for you to make a prediction, for us to make a prediction. Jacksonville, the defense is good. The offense is a work in progress, to be kind. And the quarterback is kind of milk toast. Who do you think's going to win this game?
Despite all the injuries, I still think the Niners will find a way. They're playing well defensively. I think Salah's going to make an adjustment to being Bosa out. I think other players will step up to the plate and understand that they have a chance to flourish a little bit more. That will elevate their incentive to play. They'll know that there's opportunities for them to make big plays themselves. And I tell you what, it's just the Niners, I think, are third in the NFL in scoring defense. They're doing it. I tell you, the other thing about which we haven't discussed is I like to look at the red zone differentials. And I tell you, you look at for every touchdown, you get 6 points. For every field goal, you get 3 points. On the defensive side, you give up a touchdown, you lose 6 points, and you give up a field goal, you lose 3 points. Jacksonville is number 2 in the NFL with a plus 33 red zone differential. San Francisco is at 0. And part of that problem is, Kyle's red zone offense ain't lighting up the scoreboard enough. So actually, they've given up like 39 on offense and 39 on defense because the offense hasn't produced. And I think he's probably around 56, 57% in red zone efficiency for the Niners offensively. And that's not
45.
He's where?
45.
45. See, now that's below championship level.
Yep.
You cannot. I tell you, I remember one year in the low red zone inside the 5-yard line, we were 21 out of 22 opportunities with touchdowns inside the 5-yard line.
Well, you had Marcus Allen jumping over the whole pile. You weren't that smart, Tom.
Hey, give the ball to 32,
Hey, Marcus, jump over everyone. Break.
Hey, you got to utilize your personnel.
You got to be smart about it. Did you know that the Niners are the only team in the NFL that has 0 rushing touchdowns this season? None.
It's unbelievable.
Yep.
Unreal.
And that goes back to the offensive line, in your opinion? Like they can't get that push for that 1 yard?
And or your blocking combinations are not helping the players who need help in the offensive line. Where are the double teams? Where are the power blocking schemes rather than all that soft, mushy?
They were running outside zone on the 1.
I know. Give me a break. Penetration knocks that in the butt every time. Come on.
Well, I think losing Aaron Banks and replacing him with Ben Barch, who's hurt, and then now having a rookie 7th-round pick means you're not going to be like displacing NFL defensive tackles very much, especially in the goal line.
Yeah, the thing about it is, so therefore, how do I get an extra player? How can I bring a tight end in motion maybe to help that guard with a double team block on a defensive lineman to create more movement at the point of attack? Instead of single blocking the guy, bring that extra tight end across the formation to help double that guy to create more movement. And then you're in a 2-back set, have your fullback come through and hopefully Juszczyk can help mop
Yeah,
up
hopefully.
But you got to bring more mass to the ass of the offensive linemen if they're not moving the ball with the guys they got.
Remember Harbaugh still does this, I want to say, but he did this with the Niners. He would take a defensive tackle and move him to fullback for the goal line. So he'd have like Will Tukuafu or DeMarcus Dobbs, and he'd teach him how to play, enough fullback that they could lead block on a goal line play. I'd like to see the Niners do something like that, because as great as Kyle Juszczyk is, he isn't exactly, helping this issue.
No, his Ivy League degree is not winning blocks on the goal line. No. They got to resort to something else. The thing about it is, you only have to train a guy for a couple of plays and say, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring in short motion here, and you're going to help double Colby at left guard on that 3 technique or that 1 technique. We're going to get push at the point of attack, and the back is going to lead in the hole. And you got to punch. Okay, here's the problem. When I'm in goal line offense, you got to tell your offensive lineman, you have to score with your defensive lineman. You as an offensive lineman score by getting your defensive lineman in the end zone. That's your score for you as a player in the offensive lineman on goal line offense. You have to score. And the Niners ain't scoring with their line on the goal line.
So does that mean you think the Jaguars are going to win, or you think this is going to be another 16, 15 field goal fest?
Another nail biter.
An Eddie Pinheiro special.
The red zone offense for the Niners was, like you said, 45%. And the Jaguar red zone defense differential is number 2 in the NFL. Behind their whole differential is only behind the Buffalo Bills.
Jeez. So are you is this a little bit of a trap game here for Brock Purdy in his first game back?
Well, it's knock off the rust is what it's going to be for him. Fortunately, you'd like to think you're playing the Jags and not somebody else like the Rams or the Buccaneers. And so that I'm not going to say this is a cream puff or a cupcake game for the Niners, but by the same token, it's favorable that they're playing the Jags and they're not playing, the Rams or the Bucks or someone else.
So you got a team with a bad red zone offense facing a team with the good red zone defense, a team that forces a lot of turnovers, and a quarterback who's thrown a bunch of picks in his last few starts. It seems to me that this is a game that the Niners could beat themselves.
Well, this is the rule number 1, don't beat yourself. Look at the FIPS, fumbles, interceptions, penalties, and sacks, FIPS. And when you start to add those up in the column, when your column is bigger than the opponent, you're probably losing the ball game. So rule number one is don't beat yourself before you think about defeating the opponent. And so, Brock's got to take care of the ball.
All right, let's make some prize picks before the show is over. Hold on, let's get it on the screen. Okay, let's start with receiving yards. The whole offense goes through Christian McCaffrey now, 43.5 receiving yards. Last week he had 88, the week before 52, and week 1 73. So I don't know. You tell me.
That's a sucker bet. Yeah, I'll take more.
Easy. More, right? Like, I don't know what point Kyle Shanahan's trying to prove here. Okay, Ricky Pearsall, 66.5. Last week he went for 117, week 2, 56, and week 1, 108. He didn't practice yesterday with the knee soreness. I asked him. He said he'd play if it was a game. But players always say that.
If I'm Jacksonville, I'm going to make a concerted effort to shut Ricky Pearsall down.
Yeah.
So I think fewer.
I think that's a smart call.
I'm going to make it ugly for Ricky Pearsall.
Right. Like, make Brock throw it to someone else down the field, not Ricky, who's doing a good job. Makes sense. Okay. How about the guy who can't catch a football? Brian Thomas Jr., 61.5 receiving yards. He hasn't hit that yet this season, but he's getting close. 55 last week.
The thing about it, he averages over 16 yards a reception.
And they're going to target him.
Yeah, and so they're going to keep throwing him the ball. And so I got to find the weakest corner in the Niner defense, and I got to find a formation that gets me, Brian Thomas Jr., matched up against that guy. So for Jacksonville, the key thing is not about the play I run, but the formation that I can create to get me the favorable matchup so I can have an advantage to be able to have Brian Thomas Jr. flourish with the ball in his hands.
Direct Link Sports Comments says that Travis Hunter will be on Ricky Pearsall. What do you think of that matchup? Travis Hunter, the cornerback.
You get speed on speed, but I don't know if the kid can cover. So we'll find out. I mean, he can run with you, but can he cover you?
How about Travis Hunter, the wide receiver? 35.5 receiving yards in a game. He's never done that.
Like he's only got like 76 yards for the whole season,
Yeah, he had
averaging
21 yards last week.
yards a catch.
Yeah. Oof.
I don't see him. I don't, they're going to keep throwing him the hitches and the slip screens and all that kind of stuff. I don't think Liam is going to get the ball down the field to him.
Okay, how about rushing yards for McCaffrey? 74.5. He hasn't done that yet this year or in a long time.
I'll say fewer.
Okay. I think that's fair. And then one more. Let's do Trevor Lawrence passing. They don't know who the Niners quarterback is yet, so we're going to go just Jaguars here. 224.5 passing yards.
I'll say fewer.
Last week he had 222 fewer. I like that. Okay, those are our picks. Look at them. Check them out. We're going to flex them, submit them, download the app, use promo code COHN, COHN, play $5, get $50 instantly in lineups. App is available in 45 states, including California and Texas. I thought Tom was going to pick the Niners to win this game, but he's got his spider senses tingling. You got your alerts up. Something could happen.
The most aggressive I could get would be like a 19-13 ball game for the Niners, and that's going to rely upon field goals because I look at the red zone efficiency or the lack of efficiency by the Niners and the red zone proficiency of the Jaguars. So your little kicker, your Dinero Panero, is going to be kicking him from down 25 yards.
If Moody were still the kicker, it'd be like, oh, they're definitely going to lose this game. This game's going to come down to Jake Moody. But I think pivoting from Moody to Pinheiro, week 2, one of the Niners' best moves of the year so far, paying off.
I tell you what, I see a minimum of 3 field goals for the Niners.
Well, see if they can handle it. Tom, thank you so much. And remember, everyone, go check out passreps.com. We'll be back next week. We're going to have to figure out what we're going to do next week, Tom, because they play on Thursday next week. So we'll figure that out. We got a quick turnaround.
Yeah.
Quick turnaround, as they say. Thanks for watching, everyone.